welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Agos, and for today's video I wanted to do an SJM reading guide. If you've read one of her series and don't know where to go next, or you just have never read any of her books and would like to know maybe what the best order is for you, then this is the video for you. First of all, we're gonna go over what each series is about in a couple sentences, spoiler free, and of course it's difficult to explain such long and with so many details series, but we'll do like really small snippets, and then we'll go through the order in which to read the series, and then we'll go through the order of reading Throne of Glass. If you've heard anything about Throne of Glass, there's always some debate about in which order to read the series, so we're just gonna go through it. So first of all, ACOTAR is my favorite one, and this follows Heir, who is one of the Archeron sisters, and she lives in a world full of magic in which the wall divides the human from the fairylands, and humans are super scared of the fairies with good reason. And once she gets captured by a fairy, she will understand that there is so much more than what it seems, and that the magic world and the world as they know it is in danger. Again, there's so much more that goes on. There's so many beautiful characters, and then as the books goes on, the POVs change, and there's more backstory in the other sisters, but that is kind of like the gist of the beginning, and then it will continue, but I just don't want to spoil it for you guys. Throne of Glass follows Selena, who is Ardalan's most notorious assassin. She has been captured by the king, but now she's being called to be the king's champion. This means that she will follow a series of competitions, but in these competitions she will realize that there are so many secrets that the kingdom is hiding. She will make new friends and start in a path that honestly there is no returning from, and she will not only discover more about herself but also the world that she is a part of. And honestly, you guys, this book, the world building in this book, plot, it's just honestly insane. I forgot to say that ACOTAR is a series that is still ongoing. There's 5 books, one of them is a novella. Then Throne of Glass, it is a complete series, although Sarah J Maas has said, is it done? Is it? So we don't know. It's officially done, but is it? We will find out. And then Crescent City is her newest series, which is also not done. There's only 2 books out so far, and there is one coming out in the next month. So I know a lot of people are rereading Crescent City right now. Then Crescent City follows Bryce, who is a half fae, half human, and it is an urban fantasy in which you literally live in a city, but there's angels, there's fae, there's shapeshifters, so there's a whole lot of things happening, which I think is pretty cool, because the way this is written, it feels like you could go outside and you would just encounter fae. But anyways, this story has multiple POVs, but it mainly follows Bryce, who is a half human, half fae, and after one of her friends gets murdered, she gets invited or asked to join the investigation, in which again she will discover that the murder of somebody she loved was so much bigger than just a random attack. And again, the world building, you guys, in this is absolutely insane. These 2 books are quite lengthy, but I will say, for me, if you are a romance lover, I think ACOTAR is the series for you. If you're more of a plot person, I think Throne of Glass is for you. And then if you're more of a world building person, I think Crescent City is for you. I do recommend reading all of the 3 series because they are all absolutely amazing. The characters are beautiful in all of them, but I do think that ACOTAR is really good with characters and Throne of Glass is really good with plot, but this one gives you kind of like a mixture of both, because you get that inner circle time as well as getting really good plot, really good dialogue, but they're all amazing. So honestly, I recommend them all, and I will forever be an SJM stan. She's one of my favorite authors, probably my favorite author of all time. Now to the order. I do recommend reading ACOTAR first because it is the one to get the easiest into, and I do think the books are really addictive, I would say, and you get to know the characters and you will fall in love with them, but you will also be shocked at the plot twist. Like, they are easy to read and they just want to keep you going. So secondly, I recommend reading Throne of Glass. It is a little more plot heavy, but because you read already ACOTAR, you will kind of understand how her writing works and what the setups are, kind of look for them, and you will understand a little more of the face. So I do think personally it is best to read Throne of Glass second, because also it does feel like a slower start to the story. So I do think that maybe you'll enjoy getting more into SJM's writing with ACOTAR, and then you'll know kind of what to expect from Throne of Glass. And then I recommend reading Crescent City last, just because it feels like the most complex story. And I made the mistake of reading, like, I read Harry Potter to get me back into fantasy, then I went straight into ACOTAR, and then I read Crescent City, and I think that was a bit much for me. It was a lot heavier than I expected it, but then I reread it after reading a lot of more fantasy books, and I think I got to enjoy it a lot more, and that's why I recommend reading it last. That way you not only know SJM's writing, but you just will be able to appreciate the story and the world building a lot more, and that is just my personal opinion of how to read the SJM series. Again, there is no correct right or wrong. I definitely recommend reading Crescent City last. That is like the one thing that I feel really strongly about, but these two, you can alternate them if you are more of a character person or more of a plot person. That is really up to you. But Crescent City, please do leave this for last. There's so many books here. I know you can't see them, but I had all the books down here. I do want to say that my favorite book of all time and my favorite SJM book is A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second one, is in the SJM in the ACOTAR books. Honestly, I will reread this year because it's just amazing. The plot, the writing, the characters, the banter, just everything about it. It is my favorite book of all time, and I will recommend this forever and ever. I try to convince everybody I meet to read ACOTAR, and I will continue to do so. But anyways, this is my favorite SJM book ever. Now let's move on to in which order to read the Throne of Glass series. Like I said, there is 8 books, 2 of which are novellas, and some people are like, do I need to read the novellas? I recommend reading the novellas because you will get a lot of backstory, and not only a lot of backstory, let's move this a little bit, not only a lot of backstory, but you will also like gain a lot of information. So I definitely recommend not skipping them. But let's go from the beginning. This is the Assassin's Blade novella, and I think most of the drama starts with this one because a lot of people believe you should read it first. A lot of people believe you should read it third or fourth. I personally and my fiance, we both read it third, and I definitely recommend reading it that way because this gives you a lot of backstory, which means it has a lot of spoilers, what I would personally call spoilers. So I think I was able to enjoy some of the plot twists in the first 3 books a lot more because I didn't know this, and then all of a sudden I got all of this backstory on this amazing character before we moved on to the last bit of the series, which kind of gets like, it changes course and it focuses more on the bigger side of things. I would picture at the beginning as like Harry Potter from the 1 to Prisoner of Azkaban, and then, you know, in the Order of the Phoenix when you finally get to focus on Voldemort. Like, I would picture it kind of the same way. So yeah, I personally recommend reading it third, but if you're a person that likes kind of knowledge, you want to be prepared, I do recommend reading this first because again, you will get to know the main character a lot more, but there are some details that you will be less surprised later down the line. So again, I think it depends. If you like to know more, read this first. If you want to be surprised and enjoy more of the little plot twists in the first couple of books, I say read it third or fourth, but don't skip it because the backstory that this will give you is so important, and there's so many payoffs that come from this. So please, 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 please read it. This is where another one of the dilemmas comes. It is with Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, because these books happen at the same exact time, and whatever characters you see in this, you don't see in this, and vice versa. So a lot of people think you can read them at the same time or you can read them separately, and I read them separately and Harry's read them at the same time, so he's gonna come over and tell you what he thought of reading them tandem. But I think honestly, if I were to reread it, I might do the tandem read. I do think it is really cool that you can go back and forth between the stories, but I chose to go separately just because I like reading one book at a time, if I'm honest. That is just the type of like reader I am. I just like to focus on one story at the time. But I will say that I really missed the characters in this one when I was reading this one, because I was like, okay, when is this gonna be over? Because I do think this is probably the worst book in the series. Like, it is still an amazing book. It's just that the main characters stay in this one, or probably like the favorite characters stay in this one. But this book is absolutely necessary. I think the things that you discover are really important, but I do think it could have probably been that much shorter. But anyways, it doesn't matter. So I do think that I recommend doing tandem read, because I didn't get to do that, but I did suffer because of it, because I was missing all of these people. And I do think that you'll probably have this book fresher in your mind to start the last one if you do the tandem read. But there's, again, no right or wrong. You can still do it separately, and since you will read this one first, this book won't be spoiled, but there are some things about this book that will be spoiled in this one. So definitely read, if you're not going to do the tandem, read Empire of Storms first and then Tower of Dawn. I would recommend actually do the tandem read, even though I didn't. But what were your thoughts while you were doing it?
I thought it was quite difficult because it's quite cool that you can like switch between like two, but this one was like a 5 for me. Like, I thought it was such a good book, and this one was like a generous 3. So like,
wow.
you like read a chapter in this and you're like, oh, this is amazing, and then you go to this one and you're like, I just want to get back here because this is so good. I do, like you said, you need to read it because there's stuff in it, but it's really difficult because this is so good, it makes this seem even worse. Like, maybe if you read this alone, it's good, but because this is so good, you're like, oh my god, what happens here? And,
fair enough.
But it definitely does help because the next book, like, starts from this bit kind of thing. So when you read this, like you said, it's fresh in your mind, you're like, wow.
So would you recommend it?
I honestly don't know, like, it is so 50-50. It's just up to you, really. Like, there's no, because I haven't done the other one, I'm not sure, but it was tough reading this. And I don't know, like, I might have read this and really liked it, and then read this and hated it and not want to read anymore. That's not true. I would never do that. But I don't know, it's just, it feels like this book lets it down.
Quite harsh review.
Sorry.
Thank you. No. That's fair enough. We wanted your thoughts. Those are our thoughts on how to read the SJM series. I think the tandem read is really up to you on whether you are more of a 2 book at a time type of reader. I'm personally not, so I do like the way I did it, and I do think that what Harry said was really interesting about Tower of Dawn not being as good as Empire of Storms, so maybe seeing that contrast is not the best. But I hope this is helpful, and I hope you kind of got a gist of what the series are about. There's lots of fae, lots of love interests, lots of fate themes, and beautiful found family tropes, and honestly, I will recommend these series forever. And these series have been with me in some of very like different points of my life, and they have helped me in different ways and inspired me in different ways, so I definitely recommend them, and I hope you enjoy them if you're getting into them. And I cannot wait for Crescent City 3 to come out. I think we're probably gonna do a reading vlog because we're both gonna read it. We've both pre-ordered it, and I'm super excited. But I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Also, if you've read any of the SJM, like, let me know your favorite book boyfriend. Mine, I'm not gonna tell you mine, because it might be a spoiler. Is it a spoiler if I say mine?
Yeah, 100%.
Then I won't tell you mine, but you let me know yours.